The crowd walked through the streets, singing and praying, carrying the grand statue of the Virgin of Guadalupe, a symbol of faith that transcends borders and time. Everything was perfect, a sunny afternoon framing fervent faith. Colorful vestments and the scent of incense wafted through the air, creating an atmosphere of peace and profound gratitude, where each step was a sincere homage to the Mother. But, at the moment of greatest praise, when faith was at its peak, the deafening noise of terror erupted from the side of the street. Before we delve into the inspiring details of this day, please do the following: write in the comments the names of those people, relatives, and friends you love and who urgently need Our Lady of Guadalupe's intervention. All these names will be included in our main prayer of the Rosary. That day wasn't just a walk, it was the renewal of vows for a community united under the mantle of faith of Guadalupe, the Mother who humbly appeared in Mexico to a peasant, and who now inspired devotees with her miracles on American soil. The streets echoed with the unwavering devotion of entire families, many wearing traditional attire as a sign of promise, honoring not only the miraculous apparition of centuries ago, but also calling for divine presence in their daily struggles. Small children carried flowers, older men took turns carrying the weight of the statue, in a rhythmic prayer rhythm that conveyed a profound sense of peace and belonging. That journey was a public testimony, a demonstration that faith, to be strong, must be lived and shared in community. The focus was not on the religious items or the beauty of the image, but rather on the strength of the rosary each person carried in their hands, the true link with the sacred that seemed, in that moment of joy, to be completely unbreakable, a spiritual shield. The scene of devotion was suddenly torn apart by a band of vandals filled with hatred and intent on disturbing the sacred, invading the procession space with shouts, throwing objects at the vestments, and attempting to intimidate the participants. Their intention was clear: to desecrate the faith and spread fear. The crowd, previously united in song, froze in shock and disbelief. Many were terrified, instinctively wanting to protect the children and the image of the saint itself. Panic began to set in, fear of an escalation of physical violence gripped the atmosphere, and the beautiful day of gratitude quickly turned into a nightmare. It was an instant test, faced with insult and ridicule. Would the faithful give in to anger and retaliation, or would the faith they so fervently preached be able to resist evil in a totally unexpected way? The heart of their faith was being attacked at that moment, and how the community reacted would determine whether that day would be remembered for violence or for the miracle of spiritual response. It was at this breaking point, where chaos threatened to engulf order, that the reaction of a cardinal present became the central and unforgettable moment of the procession, a veritable living sermon that silenced not only the frightened faithful but also the attackers themselves. Instead of hiding or clamoring for physical protection, the cardinal raised his voice, which was strangely calm and strong amidst the tumult, and began not to rebuke the vandals with shouts of condemnation, but rather with a silent and immediate prayer of blessing and forgiveness for the attackers. He made a decisive and surprising move. He extended his hand toward the vandals, not to push them away, but to bless those who were terrorizing him, repeating the Lord's Prayer aloud, emphasizing with intensity the phrase, "Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us." His serenity was so visible and profound that it acted as an instant balm on the community's anger and as a powerful weapon of spiritual confusion against those who expected a reaction of fury and struggle. The cardinal's actions served as an anchor for the faithful present, who quickly overcame their shock and transformed their initial fear into a fervent display of peaceful resistance. The people did not react with cries of retaliation or physical aggression. Instead, they resumed chanting to Our Lady, but this time with tripled intensity, transforming the hymn into a declaration of spiritual war. The procession did not stop. They kept pace, their heads held high, their eyes fixed on the image of the Virgin and the vandals, responding to their anger with melodies of praise. This coordinated reaction of the faithful, immediate forgiveness mixed with a refusal to interrupt worship, was the embodiment of a faith that refuses to be defeated by hatred. They were no longer simply walking out of devotion, they were providing visual testimony that peace in the heart is unshakable when sustained by deep conviction, showing the attackers that true strength lies not in destruction, but in enduring pain with the grace of Christ. The contrast between the vandals' empty fury and the believers' firm dignity became palpable and deeply embarrassing for the attackers, who were left confused and without a target. Aggression only works when it provokes retaliation. When it is met with forgiveness and unceasing adoration, it loses its force and reveals its futility. Slowly, the aggressive noise began to subside. The vandals, realizing they could not interrupt the manifestation of faith, withdrew. The moment of terror was replaced by an overwhelming wave of gratitude among the faithful, a silent certainty that the Mother of God had protected them not only from physical violence but also from the temptation to sin by retaliating. The procession continued on its way, slower, perhaps more wounded, but undoubtedly stronger. The miracle was not the absence of attack, but the ability of faith to absorb hatred and transform it into a deeper and more sincere prayer, leaving behind in the attackers' hearts something they had not considered: the seed of unrest. The outcome of this story surprised everyone in the community, reinforcing that the power of forgiveness and prayer truly works miracles that transcend human logic. Days later, two of the main vandals who orchestrated the attack, driven by an inner turmoil they couldn't understand, returned to the same church that had organized the procession. They didn't come to threaten, but seeking answers, disarmed by the unexpectedly peaceful silence of the faithful in the face of their hatred. The act of being blessed by the Cardinal and the believers' refusal to retaliate had eroded their anger, replacing it with an urgent need for peace. This spiritual confrontation resulted in an even greater testimony of faith, culminating in the conversion and baptism of these attackers. Having come to terrorize, they were ultimately captivated by God's incomparable and powerful mercy, understanding that hatred cannot survive where grace abounds. This story from Michigan is a mirror for our life of faith. In our daily lives, we are attacked by spiritual and emotional vandalism, road rage, gossip at work, resentment in the family, or the temptation to give up in the face of great challenges. Just as the procession didn't stop, our prayer life cannot stop either, for prayer and the rosary are our active defenses. The Cardinal and the faithful taught us that the first response to attack must be immediate forgiveness and the search for peace in our hearts, for this is what disarms evil and creates space for conversion, both our own and that of others. We need to intensify our preaching, not just with words, but with our way of life, sowing faith in those who are lost. It is only by keeping our gaze fixed on God's grace, even under attack, that we can transform aggression into an opportunity for a miracle and help souls find their way. I repeat the invitation: comment now with the names of the people you want to see converted, or those relatives who need a miracle in their health and faith, so that Our Lady may intercede for them in our rosary today. Reflect with me: if the faith of these devotees could transform brutal hatred into miraculous conversion, what can your perseverance in prayer do in the lives of the people you just listed in the comments? The greatest tribute we can pay to Our Lady of Guadalupe is not just to carry her in a procession, but to live with her dignity and meekness, forgiving tirelessly, even when we are terrorized. Tell me what touched you most in this message. Was it the instant forgiveness, the Cardinal's reaction, or the final conversion of the attackers? Leave your sincere comment below, like this video if it touched your heart, and share this message of miracles so that more people discover the power of resisting hatred with love and prayer. And, of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe to the channel now to receive our blessing and encouragement of faith every day.